Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. This is Kelly from Nice Lady Productions. Today we have a great matchup. We have the Zacuto EVF and we have the SmallHD DP4 EVF. And I have to tell you that even though they're both called EVFs, the longer I spent time with them, the more I realized that each company is coming at this EVF game a little bit differently. So let's take a closer look. So let's start by looking at the design of each of these systems. First up is the first one on the market, the Zacuto EVF. The first thing I noticed straight out of the gate as soon as I took the Zacuto EVF out of the box was how incredibly light it is. Even with a battery, it's really light and it's very small. Although the physical dimensions of the 3.2-inch screen are similar to the physical dimensions of the LCD on the back of a digital SLR, the increased resolution and the tighter dot pitch make it extremely easier to attain focus and to see the clarity of your image. You end up with about 2 times the size of real estate with the higher resolution and dot pitch. I love the design of this little dude. Love the shoulder pads on it. It immediately reminded me of something out of Aliens, something that maybe at the end of the movie Ripley straps onto her beside her rocket launcher to monitor where Newt is. Zacuto's smart, man, because you know what? You take this thing out in the field and no one would ever mistake this for a different manufacturer's product. It doesn't just look like another EVF. It doesn't just look like another monitor. So kudos to them for thinking outside the box as far as design and coming up with something that's also kind of neat looking. So all of the components on the Zacuto EVF Flip that I have here are plastic except for the frame, the little trigger. Of course, the screws around the EVF are metal, and then they've reinforced the HDMI ports, which is really nice. I'm not concerned at all with the fact that it's made of plastic. I owned a Viewfinder previously, and it has plastic all over it, and I'm never worried about my Viewfinder holding up to the rigors of real-world use. I've done a previous review of the SmallHD DP4 monitor, so check that out. I just want to highlight some of the features that make the build of the SmallHD DP4 and its components unique as compared to the Zacuto EVF. First off, it has a beautifully milled aluminum frame. It's a gorgeous modern design. I love the physical size of it. Because of the scaling modes and the ability to scale right to the edges, SmallHD says that you are in effect outperforming a 5-inch monitor. Also, they state that you are getting 2 times the amount of screen real estate as a 3.2-inch monitor. 3.2-inch monitor being the Zacuto EVF. So essentially you have the same resolution on a screen that's about 1 inch physically wider, but you are getting about double the amount of screen real estate, making it easier to see the screen from a little bit further away. Now, you could also say that because of the same resolution, it's actually better to pack all that resolution into a smaller monitor because then you have better picture quality. But we will talk about the performance of each monitor in part 2. The EVF Flip comes with a bag, which is nice. It comes with a battery, and it comes with a battery charger. It comes with a little case cover for the front of the screen, along with a really cool HDMI cable that feels pretty good quality. And what I like about it, of course, is the end where it's twistable. The SmallHD DP4 also comes with a really nice high quality HDMI cable. It has a little right angle on the end. I've lost the signal on my monitor a few times from that right angle becoming loose, so that's one of the problems with having that extra right angle, is that extra point of contact versus having an all-in-one cable. Okay, let's talk batteries. Remember how 5 seconds ago I said that Zacuto ships with a battery and a charger? Well, the SmallHD doesn't ship with either. It ships with the power plug, which is great, especially if you work in a studio or you don't want to worry about batteries. So what this all comes down to then is cost. So it doesn't come with the bag, it doesn't come with the batteries, it does not come with the charger. Think about that for later. So Zacuto has only one mounting point on their EVF, and it's a reinforced mounting point on the bottom to prevent stripping. And like SmallHD, they supply you with a hot shoe mount adapter. It's a better version. They do also have a thing called the cheese stick, and it can strap onto the back on either of the top or bottom in the top and bottom screws for you to mount any mounting setup that's sold. The EVF itself has the ports coming out on the right side rather than the SmallHD, which has the ports coming out the bottom. So what you don't get is a mounting point on the right or the left. So if you're looking for a setup where you want to mount it to the side, if you have a cage or something and you want to mount it right to the side, you'd have to use an arm to the back. By contrast, SmallHD has 3 mounting points. However, even though they provide you with the hot shoe mount adapter, the bottom mounting point looks like the kind that could be stripped a lot easier than the ones that are reinforced on the side. I would have wished that they would have made all 3 of them reinforced to prevent stripping. You definitely need 2 right angle adapters when you're mounting the HDMI underneath the monitor. So it'd be great if SmallHD shipped 2 right angles when they sold one of these monitors. Button placement for the buttons on the Zacuto EVF are on the left-hand side of the screen. And you have 3 function buttons, which is really nice. It's good placement for these buttons, of course, because if you use the flip function, you wouldn't be able to access them if they were on top, so they have to be on the side. With the Zacuto, I found that I was flipping between the 3 presets all the time, so that was really handy compared to just having the 2 that SmallHD offers you. Although I do wish the buttons on the Zacuto were a little bit bigger. The DP4 has the buttons on the top, but the angle of the design for the flip actually prevents it from hitting the buttons, so you can easily access your buttons, although you can't see them when the flip is up. Zacuto offers audio meters, SmallHD doesn't, but SmallHD offers an audio jack, so you can actually sit back and monitor the audio from an entire shoot that you just did by playing it back on your camera. I'm hoping that SmallHD adds audio meters to the monitor as well. As far as screen protection goes, the Zacuto EVF comes with a screen protector for traveling with your monitor. Also, because it has kind of a lip on the frame itself kind of protects. SmallHD gives you a protector for the monitor, this acrylic protector that shortly after this review broke while I was trying to remove it. So I wouldn't suggest taking it off and putting it back on like I did. You can actually put the protector on and put your optical viewfinder on, and boom, you have screen protection when the viewfinder is in the up position. It does provide a lot more reflection than you ever wanted on your screen, so there's that trade-off. So in previous reviews I've seen online, I've read and heard comments about the size of SmallHD versus the size of Zacuto, and I was trying to think, like, when would this come into play? When would I care about the size of the gear? And it occurred to me that there's quite a few instances where the size of the gear would have a huge impact on what I'm doing. For example, what if your camera rig isn't as comfortable now because the size of the gear strapped to it is too big? It might impact you because the front of your camera is now too front heavy when you put it in the flip mode. What if you wanted to mount the EVF beside your camera? On the DP4, at what point does that length, that added length, now prevent you from being able to access a follow focus if you had one on the front of your lens barrel? Say you had to actually pull out a whole new bag that you never even use because the EVF portion is so big you cannot fit it in your regular gear bag. In those ways, I think size does matter, and you do need to think about how well all the gear works together when you're shooting. The way SmallHD has mounted their optical viewfinder is pretty smart because they've mounted it around a frame, and then there's magnets to keep it down and magnets to keep it up. I heard online that people were saying that the Zacuto's EVF, because it has no magnets, flip-flops around the place. So I thought I'd do a little bit of my own testing to just see, you know, what gravity does, how quickly the Zacuto's EVF topples. And let's imagine here that you're running. Say you have some sort of run and gun kit and you have the EVF in the flip position and you go for a jog. Well, let me just say on both accounts, you should definitely have your EVF in the down position. Of course, there's the whole sun issue, but we'll talk about that later. It occurred to me that I'm actually probably ruining the power of my own magnets here on the SmallHD, because as time was going on while I was pretending to be running for this segment, I thought, oh man, I'm kind of wearing out these magnets. It starts to lose some of its grip. So I don't think you're going to get a perfect performance out of either of these. However, your Z-Finder falling off, probably not the best thing you want. Yeah. Lastly, I want to point out a really important design distinction between these two units. The Zacuto EVF is 3 different products. It can be used as a small monitor, as an EVF, or it can be mounted to the back of a digital SLR. If you had a 2-camera setup, you could easily move it from your EVF, snap it off, and put it on the back of the second camera and check the shot in the second camera, and then put it back to your EVF. The SmallHD DP4 is a 2-part system. It is a monitor and it is an EVF. It doesn't have that third capability. So that may impact what system you decide to go with. Okay, let's stop part 1 right there. I'm sure you're going to find part 2 to be very revealing as we start to look at the features of both EVFs in detail. We're going to look at the monitor features, we're going to look at the optics, we're going to look at color accuracy, how easily you can judge focus with each, and really highlight where each of these EVFs shine or fall short. So I hope you'll join me.